Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
All I can say is a good motto for anyone in life is to live your life in such a way that when you disappear for a number of days, that people aren't outwardly celebrating the fact that you might be dead.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about that. Look, sad day here at Look Forward. He's still around. Okay, I don't know how else to start the show. Look, I was very confident that our boy was getting his last rites read. I was fucking hoping, and he came out. And I was like, come on, is it AI? It's got to be AI, right?
Yeah,
You have that moment. You're like, is it?
yeah. So for those who are not terminally online, which is no one listening to this podcast, I can assure you, we had a real weird weekend where the president did not appear in public or post on social media for like 5 straight days. And not only that, but posts about him from other people, like former NFL football coach John Gruden, were like posted over the weekend as if like, hey, like Trump is out and about doing stuff. And then people were like, no, this post is from like a week ago, or like these pictures were taken a week ago.
Yeah.
And so because we all didn't have proof of life, like a lot of people on the internet really thought that Donald Trump might be dead. And what a glorious time that was, where we could all live in such a fantasy world.
It felt good for a few moments there. The world was perfect. So
I don't know about perfect, but certainly better than it is. Like we could finally smile again. The sun was starting to peek out through the clouds.
Oh my god!
Like it was there was like a collective joy that was mounted
really
online about it. Yeah,
like not since the news of the first vaccines going out during COVID did it feel like we might just be through this. And look, I know the standard response. There are 2 standard responses, and I got smoke for both of these. Okay, one, you shouldn't wish that someone died, and blah blah blah. Blah.
Yes, you should.
And here's the thing. Yeah, that's okay. And if you feel like you have to make a stronger statement about that than that piece of shit separating families and destroying people's lives and doing all sorts of horrendous things to the environment, yada 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 yada, your priorities are way out of whack.
I was about to say, I'll give you the Colonel Jessup answer. Like, that opinion, while grotesque, saves lives. Like if Donald Trump dies, like literally more people will be alive in 4 years than will not be alive if Donald Trump is allowed to live throughout.
That is a solid use of that quote. That's a very, very good use of that quote. That's awesome. So there's that, right? Which is like trying to appeal to sort of my morality. That died the moment they announced that Donald Trump won re-election. Okay, so that's over with. The other is, well, you know you're going to get J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is really bad. Bitch, we don't have a choice. It's not like
right.
No, that's how the system works. We know J.D. Vance fucking sucks. But you know what doesn't suck? Do you remember for almost 4 entire years, we didn't have to hear that asshole talk? And we didn't have to hear about his tweets. We didn't have to hear about him say almost anything. It largely
we did hear about him, but it didn't matter. It wasn't consequential to all of our lives every time he ran his mouth about something.
Right.
And say what you will about J.D. Vance, you don't have to worry about what insane thing is J.D. Vance going to say today. And you might say, oh, J.D. Vance would do a lot of insane things. And he would. But you don't have to worry about J.D. Vance, like, advocating for Roger Clemens to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame because he has a bug up his ass about it. Or something like that.
Right,
like,
exactly. Like, there are levels to this shit. And just not having that asshole constantly like, well, what about good. I am more than fine with you moving on. I trust me. I could not be happier. So
listen, I'm pretty sure JD Vance like would suck shit, but he would at least suck shit presidentially as opposed to whatever this shit is.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And I think people have largely forgotten that like we've had Republican presidents who've absolutely sucked. And look, you can go back further than Bush, but you can have Republican presidents who you absolutely vehemently hate. But Trump is a very different character because of that like constant chaos being thrown out, right? There's a difference in like while you're doing things that I disagree with or you're doing things that I think are morally reprehensible. And Trump does all of those things, but also like, dude, you're just kind of fucking annoying type of shit. Again, I stand 100% on the notion that Joe Biden won that election against Donald Trump for saying the one thing during that debate that people wanted to hear. Man, could you please shut up? And people were just like, thank you. You just said the fucking words. It's like, he said it. He said the words. It's like the Pee Wee Herman thing. Like everyone screams and like they're excited because that's just what people wanted. Just shut the fuck up for 9 minutes. And if he dies or when, that's going to just feel good. I don't care what anybody says. Is that morally terrible? Again, that part of me has died a couple of months ago, so I don't really give a shit. So yeah, pointing out that JD Vance sucks. We all know JD Vance sucks. We said that when he was brought up as VP. We already knew. That's fine. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed, obviously. But here's what I will say: doesn't change the material conditions on the ground.
No, it certainly doesn't.
Still looking like dark. So
that picture, that picture they put out of him golfing, I guess it was Monday or Tuesday. He looked like the fucking senator from X-Men after like he started like getting all bloaty coming out of the water and shit like that.
I made the analogy that he looked like the dude who blew himself up from Big Trouble in Little China. He was like I get in before he like explodes. Like he was right there. So yeah, like this does not change the material conditions on the ground. He is still likely has congestive heart failure, as many have sort of assumed. Doctors, by the way, like just looking at him like shit don't look good. He still has deep vein thrombosis. That is a confirmed thing from the White House. These are not things that you're like, and then you live for another 50 years. That's not how that works. Like this. So when it happens, I don't know. Trust me, we'll play Crab Rave and many other celebratory songs the day it happens. And no, I don't feel bad about it at all. So from there, let's talk about news you need. Dark Money Group discovered to fund coordination with left-wing influencers. Are we okay with this? Brad?
Yeah, so there's a story that got posted in Wired that it was found out that there's contracts being offered to like left-wing influencers for about $8,000 a month to help coordinate Democratic messaging online. Something very similar to what we saw last year with a lot of those right-wing influencers that turned out to be funded by a Russian-backed company. And so
like Tim Pool.
Like the Tim Pool fucking I think the Daily Wire was in that mix as well, if I'm not mistaken. I can't quite remember.
It might have been the Daily Caller.
That probably sounds correct. Yeah, so these offers came from a nonprofit company called Chorus, which I think is run by Brian Tyler Cohen, who is a very prominent like left-wing influencer, whose stated purpose is like, hey, like we want to help coordinate, basically unify messaging coming from the left in a similar fashion that kind of the right-wingers do. And through investigation, basically it was found out that this organization Chorus is funded by it's funded by a group called the 1630 Fund, which is basically a dark money political funding organization. So this is very much analogous to to that right-wing story that happened last year, which we rightfully with the exception that this 1630 corporation is not a Russian-backed fund pushing Russian propaganda. Like the stated purpose behind this was a good faith effort to basically have these influencers just speak about Democratic talking points favorably and not criticize the party because as we all know, and we on the show are guilty of this just as much as anybody, no one criticizes Democrats like people on the left.
100%.
Yeah.
And frankly, we're the best at it. We're far better
Yeah.
at it.
So it's an interesting story. I would encourage folks out there to read the whole story on Wired to kind of understand about it. But my question to Jay is, should we be okay with this? Like, do we think that this is a valid strategy that we should pursue to help fight the right-wing apparatus, or does this somehow like undermine kind of our stated goals or what we want to see happen?
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I understand the logic behind it, right? Like getting money to these people, they're influencers, they're going to, you get everybody on message. I understand that. And from a logic perspective, I get it. I don't like what it looks like, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't like the idea of everyone being given talking points, because the whole point of our side is that we are, in fact, contrary to what the other side says, we are actually independent thinkers, right? And that gives us the position to push back on the party if we need to. If we all join in the same talking points, you wouldn't get a Zoran Mamdani if it is seen as the party line to not support that guy, right? So no, I don't like this at all. So I'm not a fan. I
agree with you, just because one of the things that we've banged the drum on this show specifically for a long time is getting money, getting dark money, getting corporate money out of politics, because when you have that money flowing into people that have influence, that have power, then their agenda is the one that's going to be prioritized and not the agenda of the actual voters, which we've seen time and time again, not only obviously from the right, but we also see it on the left as well, where you have a ton of Democratic Congress people that are in senior positions that are funded by organizations like Big Pharma, like AIPAC, and that absolutely influences the way that they vote on legislation. It influences what legislation even appears on the floor. It influences the people that they're willing to back. I saw a story that fucking enraged me, where, so I don't know if people have seen, and I don't know the gentleman's name, but apparently there's a very charismatic, new guy on the scene who's like a veteran who's running against Susan Collins in Maine on the Democratic ticket. And
he's an oyster farmer.
He's an oyster farmer.
Yeah. He's a man, salt of the earth, this guy.
Yep. And people are getting kind of excited about him. Like the first ad that he released kind of to announce that he's running is pretty exciting. And instead of getting behind a guy like that who has already gotten some very organic support just by kind of being new and fresh and having good ideas and saying the things that we want him to say, Chuck Schumer's like, hey, let me call Janet Mills, who's the current governor of Iowa and 77 years old, to see if she'd be interested to run for this Senate seat, because she's going to be termed out when we get to this this election next year. Instead of backing a candidate who is, not even middle-aged, like I think this dude's in his 40s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, is not just the same old guard that comes in here. I can't fathom, and I don't think that the current Democratic establishment doesn't realize that there's anger about leaving the gentocracy intact inside of the Democratic side of the House. I think they don't give a shit, because I think a lot of these guys care way more about their personal power and the power of the people of their friends and people that they've worked with for a long time than actually making things better for people.
I think that's partially it. I think the other side is, I think they just know better. I mean, I think it's just mostly arrogance. Like, hey, I'm here, you're not. If I weren't, top Democrat in the Senate, if I wasn't the Senate minority leader, I didn't get here because I didn't know anything, type of thing. Like, what do you guys know?
I know what it takes to actually make things happen in the Senate. Do you, Chuck Schumer? Because right now you're getting dog walked a lot of the time by folks on the right when you actually have mechanisms that you can use for power. Remember when Chuck Schumer's like, hey, we have to fund the government, otherwise they'll just they'll just let the government stay unfunded and they just won't run the federal government. Oh, cool. You funded the government. Turns out that's like happening anyway, basically, as they're firing people left and right. And
so what'd you do then? What'd you do?
Right.
Yeah. So no, I'm not a fan of this. I'd like people to it's really weird because on its face, I should support this from the perspective of it'd be nice to get the party in a cohesive situation that they could fight back as one voice. But at the same time, as much as that's a benefit in the short term, I don't like the idea of us becoming just the Republican Party with liberal issues, right? Like liberal, viewpoints. I want us to be better than that, not just to be a carbon copy of what the right is. And look, the right is incredibly successful in a lot of ways, but at the same time, I'd rather not. So no thanks. I'm good on that.
Yep. And again, like the article sounds innocent enough. Like it says like, oh, like they just have to keep the agreement secret and they have to, and it has some restrictions on the type of content that they put out. The fact that they wanted that you have to keep this under wraps kind of gives away the whole game there. Like it's one of the things like, hey, like if you wanted to keep the secret, like I feel like that you're doing something that's uncouth or that's, that's not on the up and up.
Right. Just keep it a secret. Why though? Because it's really good and like we don't want to tell everybody. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, next up. Jeffrey Epstein's survivors have decided, fuck all this talk. We're making our own list. Now what? Look, this information dropped that they were doing a press conference like right after we recorded last time, and I was like, "Oh, shit, son." And look, I had talked to you and Andy about this. I was like, "Look, they need to stop. They need to stop with like all this conjecture bullshit. They need to come up and just give names, like just straight up. What the fuck are you going to do about it?" And I can't believe I'm saying this, but you know what? Marjorie Taylor Greene is right about something that I totally did not think about. And she's absolutely right. So the survivors came out and they were like, listen, we're going to generate our own list. I didn't like that they were like, we're going to generate our own list in private. And then like, I was like, okay, I don't care for this. Like, don't make this another private thing because you're just keeping it easily concealed by a bunch of rich people. But what they were basically, what Marjorie Taylor Greene got up there and said, and Massey also said this. Again, it's gross having to agree with either one of them. But if these women come out and say like, hey, fucking Bill Clinton and Donald Trump and Stephen Hawking or whoever is on this list, then they can be sued into basically oblivion, right? By
for defamation and all that jazz.
Right. However, Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene actually had a very smart idea. And I think Ro Khanna is involved in this as well. So that's also telling, by the way, because you have Ro Khanna is an incredibly liberal person and Marjorie Taylor Greene is very not. And Thomas Massey is
and neither is Thomas Massey. Thomas Massey is effectively a libertarian. So
right. And he's leaving. So he's now really getting his fucking shit off against Trump, which I appreciate. But I'm like, you could have said that shit before you decided that you weren't running again. But all three of them are like, listen, if you go onto the House floor and you say these things and if you take the list from these women and you go on the House floor and be like, here's the list, motherfucker, and you read that shit, they cannot be sued.
Yeah, there's a clause in the Constitution that's called speech and debate that literally says that members of Congress cannot be sued for things they say on the floor of the House.
I like it. I'm not gonna lie. That's a pretty fucking smart plan. And I give all three of them a lot of credit. But I very, very specifically, I do have to give Marjorie Taylor Greene credit for that. That's actually a very smart idea. It feels gross. It feels gross to admit that she's right about this. However, I will say this. Do not just give it to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey.
Yeah, you got to give it to a Democrat as well.
You got to give it. Don't make that mistake that you think that just because like she's a woman and she's saying all these good things that she will go onto that floor and she will read that list as you gave it to her. Do not trust that. For the love of God, do not be that fucking naive. I'd be like, I'm gonna give a copy to Barack Obama. I'm gonna give a copy spread it out so that as many people have that shit as humanly possible that you trust, and they can go on TV. And frankly, I would have them read that list as a team, right? Like the three of them or whoever else is involved in this, have them read that shit as a team. And frankly, I want Ro Khanna's finger under the names as Marjorie Taylor Greene reads them, like follow along with what I said, just to make sure. Because the worst thing that can happen is this shit gets out, this list gets read, and somebody's name is left off of it on purpose, because you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. Because once you finish the announcement and you didn't name Donald Trump and he's on that list, well, they read the list. Clearly, whoever they didn't say, it's just made up. It's all fake. No, it has got to be a bipartisan thing. And I'm sure these women and their lawyers are smart enough to know, considering which party is trying to stop this from coming out, they got to be smart enough to understand that you cannot trust them. Even though they're standing next to you, you cannot trust that party. And to that point, Nancy Mace is a prime example of that. But I'm going to let you go ahead, and then I'll come back to that.
I was going to say, I have to give a special round of applause to Mike Johnson and James Comer, whose inability to be forthright and doing everything they can to cover this shit up in Congress is leading to this. How they haven't learned that shit that there's equal and opposite reactions when you push back on certain things. By now, I'll never know. But good job, guys. A great strategic coup to follow Trump's lead on this one, just because he wanted to make sure he was protected. So,
yeah, I don't know how they think this is going to go. Like, when they come up with this list, it will be incredibly telling, by the way. If they come up with this list and Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, I'm kind of busy, I got to get out of here. And there are people on that list that are a fucking problem. And frankly, if it's Marjorie Taylor Greene and she's responding like that, there's only one name on that list. That's a fucking problem for her. But look, maybe, just maybe, I don't believe it, even though I am saying this. Maybe she has a real, like, this is a line in the sand for her. Like, I don't give a fuck who's on that list. Like, I just don't fuck with that dude if he's on that list, like, type of shit. Or maybe she's so arrogant to believe, like, he's not on that list. And, like, you're saying all this shit. And it's like, okay, like, you said you're going to read it. The first name on the list, like, read that shit. Right. I haven't decided if I want Donald Trump's name to be the first on the list or the last on the list.
Well, did you hear some of the things that the survivors said during this press conference that she was there, by the way? Like, they talked about, like the fact that he was Donald Trump's best friend was like the thing that Jeffrey Epstein bragged about the most. He had a fucking framed 8x10 of Donald Trump, like, on his desk, which is fucking weird. Like, I don't have any pictures of anybody on my on my desk.
Not an 8x10. I have a picture of me and my daughter. It's not an 8x10. Yeah. Fuck, it's not notebook paper size. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, man. If his name is on that list, this is going to be a historic moment, because it is one thing to be like, Democrats is a hoax and all this other shit. By the way, the survivors were like, calling it a Democratic hoax is incredibly insulting, by the way. Like, no, motherfucker, this is not made up. It will be interesting for all of the people who are like, they need to release the names. They need to release the names. They need to release the names. And I'm talking about, like, voters and shit. Mm-hmm. It is a different conversation when it is not Congress doing it, or it's not the president administration doing it, but the actual survivors doing it. Because I'm very interested to see how many people who were like, release the names, release the names, release the names, when those women's list comes out, will they turn on them and be like, this list is fake, these bitches are lying? Like, I'm just curious, right? Because I think there is going to be a large amount of that. I do.
Oh, no doubt. There's a lot of fucking Heaven's Gate style behavior on the Republican voter side. of the party. Like there are many Republican voters who would follow El Presidente directly off the cliff if he walked off of it, for sure.
And I say join him. I do not discourage them for doing that. But I'm just curious that it not coming from the White House, it not coming from Congress. I mean, though it would be read on the floor of Congress, it will be interesting to see just what the reaction is. And also when that list comes out, you know, social media is a really shitty place. So people are going to just add and subtract names off of that list. You know what I mean? Like they'll put out a list. And like,
if a list were to be read out on the House floor, my biggest fascination would be how would Fox News cover it? That would be my biggest fascination, is how would Fox News frame the reading of the names, especially if Donald Trump's name was named among those people. Because guess who wasn't carrying the press conference live during the press conference?
I bet they were not. We're gonna put this on a 35-minute delay. Hell no.
Right.
That's gonna be interesting. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Let's take Trump out of it. Whoever's on that list, that's not a Democratic politician. I don't know why people think it's like all the Democrats. Like it's like a very weird thing. I'm like, okay, it isn't. It's mostly probably
you do realize that sexual predation does not stop along party lines. Unfortunately that's something that everybody on both sides of the aisle sometimes can get down with. So
right, which is gross. I mean, there does seem to be an inordinate amount on the right. I will not lie.
That's true. There is,
but it is not non-existent on the left. But it will be very interesting when it's anybody outside of like a Democratic politician or like a major Democratic donor type of person, like, or sort of anyone that is on the right. It will be interesting to see how Fox News and the other news or on the right handle that, right? Like, and I'm not trying to throw this guy under the bus, but I'm just saying, like, what if it's like John Voight and like a bunch of like right-wing actors and shit like that? Like that will be interesting that these are the people that they've tried to like lionize. They're like, we love Hollywood when it's our guys. And it's like, those guys are on the list. Like that's a little weird. Like, is RFK Jr. on there? He said he's been to the island, right? Like he's like, yeah, I've been on the fucking plane like a million times. I don't think he did. I think that guy, like, he likes to cheat on his wife, but like with grown-ups. So that's cool. Whatever, I guess. But it'll be interesting just to know, like, how are they going to handle this? Because you can't just ignore it. You can't. Like, it's too big of a story. You just simply cannot ignore it. So it'll be fair. I mean, I know right-wingers love to, like, be unbelievably ignorant of, like, major news. Like, hey, they released a list. Donald Trump is the first name on the list. Oh, I hadn't heard that. Like, really? You hadn't heard that?
That's right. The old Donald, like Donald Trump tweeted this insane thing. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Sorry.
By the way, I saw on Zero Hedge this obscure bullshit headline. Oh, you saw that one.
Yeah, about this insane thing a Democrat did. But Donald Trump's Twitter, it didn't find its way across my desk. Yeah. You were going to mention Nancy Mace's complete like brush with humanity before it went back to complete cynicism again.
Yeah. So Nancy Mace, God damn it, Nancy Mace met in private with some of the survivors, or all of them, I guess. And I guess they told her some of the stories of like being probably not the names of the people who did it, obviously, but things that happened to them. Now, Nancy Mace has also been very public about being sexually assaulted years ago as well, right? This is like a really, for obvious reasons. Look, I fucking think Nancy Mace is a deplorable person, but nobody deserves to be sexually assaulted, like just period. And she didn't deserve what happened to her either. She came out of that meeting, like, this is not reported. You can see pictures of it. She came out of the meeting with these people, like, red-faced, crying, like, horrified about the shit that these women have gone through. and immediately was like, and pivot to defend Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump is a very innocent person. He's a good person. He's a good person. He's a good person. He would never do anything like this. It's like, you were so close to being a normal human being. Like, you were so close. But it just goes to show you that cult runs deep, man. So don't assume, and that's what I'm saying with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's saying all the right things. But I need Ro Khanna to have his finger under each name, mouthing the names next to her as she's speaking them aloud. Or like you do like an award show. It's like the best actor goes to, and they both like shittiest pedophile goes to Donald Trump.
Or she skips over some names. Like he's like, hey, you missed one there. Like make sure you come back and get that one. Yeah.
Like, hold on a second. You missed old what was it, Pluralize or whatever that guy, Mike Johnson, Mr. Masturbator over there. Like, oh, his name's on the list. So I don't think, in all honesty, I think probably the bigger names that you're potentially going to hear is maybe a former president, maybe, a current president, maybe. But the biggest one, I think that's going to make the world news, besides unless the president is on there.
It's Prince Andrew. So
that's right, Prince Andrew. And I think that has been one of the biggest, like, we can't release shit kind of things, because what does that do to American British relations, right? It destroys it. If the White House is like, Prince Andrew is a fucking pedophile, bro. Like, like, what the fuck? How do you deal with that, right? That being said, if these women wrote it, who you mad at, bro? You did, your boy did it. Like, right. That's what they said. I mean, in a way, if the White House was on the up and up, this is the ideal situation. Is that the victims of this are the ones telling you, like, these are the guys who did this shit. It's like, bro, we're not saying anything. They're saying it. Like, I wish this had happened during the Biden administration. You know who would have blocked it? Not a single Democrat. They would have been like,
right.
Go ahead. What the fuck do we care? But the Republican Party is like legitimately very scared. And they're scared because there's going to be people connected to them or them on this fucking list. What's that douchebag? He's like a rich guy. He's on that Shark Tank show.
Kevin O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary.
That fucking dude.
Yeah, he's been like, oh, well, those women don't want restitution. They just want to move on with their lives. And he keeps like saying all of these things about the victims, and everyone's like, bro, are you on that list?
I gotta tell you, the last person that I need to hear anything from as far as like the opinion on what sexually abused women should do is a middle-aged white man, just in general.
Yeah, no thanks. I mean, I sit down with you every week, but you know,
I'm not middle-aged. Fuck you. I'm not that old yet.
Is that you're only out? Whoa! I'm not that old. Slow down. I got a couple years. Yeah, Kevin O'Leary.
Alan Dershowitz is on Martha's Vineyard trying to sue fucking vendors for not selling him pierogies. He's so fucking flummoxed that he's going to end up on some crazy list somewhere. So.
100% on that list. I mean, I got a massage. Like, I kept my pants on. Like, okay, Rudy Giuliani, knock it the fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Rudy, we don't have Rudy's weird car accident trying to save a woman statement that he put out on the docket this week.
I hadn't heard the statement, but I saw the pictures. And
oh, you didn't see the statement? Oh my God, I have to find the statement and read it to you because it is like the most over the top, like over explained statement ever. That it's like, bro, like, why are you explaining this much? Like, this sounds insane. Let me see if I can find it.
I mean, it's Rudy Giuliani, of course.
So he put out a statement on Twitter about it. Oh my God, I gotta find it because it's really fucking insane.
All right, well, we'll move on from there.
That's fine.
Whenever you find it. As I wrote it on the docket here, local idiot claims mRNA vaccines kill people during Senate meeting. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. doubled down on false claims about vaccines during his Senate testimony as senators grilled him on his sweeping changes in immunization policy and federal health agencies. Kennedy said he supports a statement made by.
By the way, real quick, I did find the statement, so I went over there. So he posted this as like a JPEG on Twitter. So I'm reading it verbatim. On the evening of August 30th, 2025 in New Hampshire, Mayor Giuliani was involved in a motor vehicle accident. Prior to the incident, he was flagged down by a woman who was the victim of a domestic violence incident. Mayor Giuliani immediately rendered assistance and contacted 911. He remained on the scene until responding officers arrived to ensure her safety. Following this, while traveling on the highway, Mayor Giuliani's vehicle was struck from behind at high speed. He was transported to a nearby trauma center where he was diagnosed with a fractured thoracic vertebrae, multiple lacerations and contusions, as well as injuries to his left arm and lower leg. His business partner and medical provider were promptly contacted and arrived at the hospital to oversee his care. Why do we care? Like, why are you putting out there that this unrelated thing happened before I got hit in a car accident?
Yeah, like, okay. Also, why is he speaking in the third person?
Yeah, well, this came from his lawyer or from his head of security. So that's why that came out that way. But it's just like bro, like the fact that you felt the need to put that in there is curious. Like
a bit odd. I thought he was just speaking like Jimmy from Seinfeld. Like, you know, Jimmy saved. You know, Jimmy cares very, very much about Elaine. He is an old man and he needs to go away. Again, if I heard any news about Rudy, same shit applies as earlier.
Like did he for some reason, like, I guess because like we just had like Donald Trump might be dead weekend. Like his lawyer's like, hey, like we need to put in there something of you being like a really stand up guy so that people won't like celebrate the fact that you could have died.
Too late.
We're just gonna make some bullshit up.
Yeah, that cake is already baked, my man. We're celebrating on that one too. Yeah. I thought about this. I was talking to my wife about this. There's 8 billion people on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. There is a solid chance that when Trump dies, mm-hmm. 1 billion people might celebrate that he's dead. Like, there's a solid chance that an eighth of the entire population would be like, yeah, no, that's good. This is good news. Like, that's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. And I know people are going to have this, like, not to jump back into this too much, but I know people are going to have that normal reaction that, like, when Biden dies, like, the right's going to, like, say some dirty shit about him or whatever. But just keep this in mind. The vast majority of people are going to be like, oh, Joe Biden died. That sucks. And then that's going to be the end of it. You know why? Because he wasn't a reprehensible human being. So the right can say shitty things for like a week or whatever, make some memes or what have you. It doesn't matter. The vast majority of human beings on the planet will be like, who even heard of Joe Biden will be like, that sucks. Or like, oh, okay. And it's like neutral to like, oh man, really? That guy had cancer. That sucks. When Donald Trump dies, people will high five the person nearest to him. Like
there will be fireworks. You will hear like horns going like down the streets of New York City. Like people will be celebrating. It'll be like the fucking scene from like the remixed scene from the end of Return of the Jedi that they added in with the new editions, where they go like city to city and you see like the massive celebrations of the Empire being destroyed. So.
Yeah, look, I'm even okay with the original. We could just hang out in Ewok Village and just like fucking party.
That's right.
Fine.
Do some all on the street singing Yub Nub with each other. It'll be great.
Sometimes, look, you got to go with the classics. So RFK Jr., he goes out there. He's like, look, mRNA vaccines are killing people, which is news to everyone who survived the pandemic, who got the shot. I guess we're good.
Did you see him get dog walked on that specifically by God? What's his fucking name? So Bill Cassidy, that's his name. So Bill Cassidy, who, by the way, cast the deciding vote both in committee and on the Senate floor that confirmed RFK Jr., despite Bill Cassidy's misgivings about confirming RFK, because Bill Cassidy is a doctor and so knows that like a lot of things that RFK Jr. says is bullshit. So RFK Jr. earlier in the hearing had said what Jay just said, where he's like, yeah, like he literally said during the hearing, mRNA vaccines killed more people than COVID did. Like literally said something along those lines during the hearing itself. And so when the questioning got to Bill Cassidy, who is a Republican, by the way, he was like, hey, he's like, so do you think Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed? And immediately RFK is like, oh yes, absolutely, of course, because of course, like he has to get that sycophant, vibe going. And Bill Cassidy knew that he would. And Bill Cassidy's like, that's interesting because earlier in the hearing, you said that the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID did. So I don't understand why you would then think that he should get the Nobel Prize for, well, that's not what I said earlier. like that's not what I said earlier. Like RFK Jr. spent this entire hearing getting fucking dog walked by pretty much every senator that he talked to during this thing.
Not to be an asshole about it, but he's an idiot. Like, he might understand some aspects of like environmental law. I'll give him that. Mm-hmm. He may know how to chainsaw off a whale's head to take home to mother. But when he
may know how to fuck a dead bear cub carcass.
Many people are saying, but
I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary. So
it's a Superman Clark Kent situation. I've never seen him in a bear carcass together.
I've never seen him in a bear carcass in the same place, not fucking. That's basically exactly what I'll say. Yeah.
It's a logical fallacy, really. Gross. But he doesn't know anything about healthcare. He doesn't. The Maha movement and all this other shit, the Make America Healthy Again thing, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It is run by mostly grifters who are more interested in like selling you their bullshit supplements as an alternative to actual studied medicine. No, it's all a grift. I mean, again, that is the MO for most of this administration. But no, he doesn't know anything. And to paraphrase a guy I saw a clip from Bill Maher's show. He was talking about Lutnick, but I think this applies to RFK Jr. He has a thumbless grasp on healthcare. Great line. And that guy said that Lutnick doesn't know shit about commerce, which was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, this is dangerous, and Brad is about to prove it to you with the very next story.
Right. Well, but before we move off the RFK thing, I just want to point out that this hearing finally has a lot of Democrats saying shit that they should have been saying for a really long time. That basically, hey, like maybe we should look at fucking impeaching this guy because he is impacting public health in the country in a real and tangible way. And I would encourage Democrats, bring articles of impeachment, for RFK Jr. in the House and let Republicans defend him. And let them own that shit.
I mean, here's the thing:
if they want to,
I mean, they will defend him, right? Even if they don't want to exactly, Trump will push them to defend him. But that's not the point. Sometimes
I don't know because Trump had a press conference earlier today, and reporters asked him about that hearing, and he didn't quite stop short of the old sports trope, given RFK like the vote of confidence, which in sports terminology is like the kiss of death.
Right.
Basically, if your owner tells hey, what do you think about your GM? He sure is sucking shit. He has my vote of confidence, and that usually means the GM's getting fired in 2 weeks. So he didn't quite go that far, but he also didn't vehemently Bobby's my guy. He's doing a great job. He was just we'll have to see, what's what essentially. He did not vociferously defend Kennedy, and if we know one thing that Trump does not like. He does not like people that are linked to him to look bad in the media. If you look bad, that's a thing that Donald Trump will not tolerate because by extension he will look bad. So,
I mean, in fairness, he always looks bad, but sure,
right. But the important thing is he doesn't think that.
Well, he doesn't think a lot of things at all. So yeah, look, if they want to get rid of RFK Jr., that's fine. I'm sure that they will figure out a person who's even worse. Maybe they'll replace him with this guy who's in Florida. Speaking of that.
So Florida became the first state in the country to eliminate all mandatory vaccine requirements for schools, for kids. Cool. And not only that, but Joseph Ladapo, who is the Surgeon General of Florida, equated vaccine requirements and said they were a form of slavery. Joseph Ladapo is black, by the way, in case you were wondering. So, and he says, "Who am I to tell you what to put in your children's body? I don't know, man. You're a fucking doctor, presumably, that knows more than a general parent does. So I would assume that you'd have a little bit more authority to be able to speak highly of these things." Also, it's so funny how the personal responsibility argument applies for vaccines, but when it applies towards transgender youth and things like that, all of a sudden we gotta throw that argument out with the bathwater because that doesn't help advance our cause.
Yeah. Okay, so we are not going to have vaccines minimums or standards or requirements at all in a state that is 97% full of crazy people, right? Like, Florida is.
And also a major population filled with elderly people as well, who I presume have grandchildren.
You would
and
assume.
Things like that.
You would assume.
Yeah.
But just old people living in general, right? Like if you start to get communicable diseases just spreading amongst the population, they're going to make it to whatever the retirement areas are, like Fort Lauderdale or what have you, right? They'll eventually just get there, just like COVID. I'm really bothered by the idea of being more like ideologically pure than science minded. You're going to get kids killed. You're going to get older people killed. You're going to get middle-aged people killed, right? This is not good. Like, I get it. Like, this is taking federalism to the nth degree, and I guess good for them, states' rights or whatever. But this is just a fundamentally stupid-ass idea. And the problem is you won't see this hurt anybody for like 2 years, right? Like, 2-3 years, or maybe even longer, maybe like 5 years, right? Like whatever I guess, what is it? 5 grades in elementary school? That's right.
Yeah.
That's great. In about 5 years, because once you start to have that new, like a new full group of 5 grades of kids who have come through where the vaccine mandate is not necessary because they think everything has been fine, so I don't have to do it for my kid. The more people who do that as they enter in 5 years into kindergarten, the worse it's going to get.
Oh, that's true of like the child like communicable diseases like measles and shit like that. You'll see a fast impact though when it comes to vaccines that kids don't typically get until they're like preteen or teenagers, like Hep C and stuff like that. You'll see that stuff much quicker, than you will the other stuff like that. Yeah, so that, it's not gonna be an overnight impact, but it'll happen pretty quick. And the thing that worries me is that you're gonna see other red states see this, and Florida getting like pats on the back from the worst of like the right wing idiot sphere. And you'll have surgeon generals and governors of other red states being like, "Oh, we got to do this shit too." And so, as Jay mentioned, like this is federalism to an nth degree, except whereas in one case, extreme federalism is, hey, we have to have these, really restrictive gun laws in one state and no laws in the other state. Instead, it's going to be, hey, like if you walk into this red state, you might just pick up a communicable disease that you otherwise wouldn't.
I don't understand this logic. I don't understand it. It's just, do you guys think that you're invincible? Like, it's just
they think they're smarter than the people whose literal job it is to be smart about this stuff, who literally have gone to school and done it in practice for their entire adult lives. Yeah. And they think, oh, like, you guys are fucking idiots. According to RFK, like, it's actually Big Pharma that's pulling the strings on like every doctor in the country that recommends vaccines, and that's why doctors recommend vaccines, not because they actually work, but because Big Pharma is pushing them down our throats. Never mind the fact that vaccines do actually work. They are incredibly fucking effective. I think I saw a statistic that
like,
yeah, I saw a statistic pre like 1950 in the US. Child deaths accounted for 7% of all deaths in the country. Like, children under, I think, 5 years of age accounted for 7% of all deaths before 1950. Accounted for 7% of all deaths in the country. And now they account for 0.3% of all deaths in the country. Like, that's a ridiculous reduction in child mortality, and it's all because of vaccines. Literally all because of vaccines. Because it prevented kids from dying from easily preventable diseases that are devastating to people, especially when they get them at such a young age.
I mean, I when I read stories like this, all I can think of is the headlines in the coming years. Oh, well, these people didn't have this. Their 2-year-old died of measles.
But they're so disconnected from reality that they will refuse to put the two things together.
Of course.
That's the problem. That's the problem, is that they won't, see, it's the causation of our actions coming around to get us. They'll come up with some other wackadoo conspiracy reason as to why all of a sudden, like, oh, actually Big Pharma released all the measles out. And that's why, that's why all these kids are getting it now. Not because they are protected from it, but, because they, like, you're being infected. It's in the drinking water. We have to get the fluoride out of the water because it's giving you the measles.
I mean, it's so insane. But, like, yes, Big Pharma definitely wants to make sure that all of your kids get sick and die so that they have less customers. We're
not trying to apply logic to this fucking this fucking theory here. Yeah. Forget the fact that they want to sell you a one-time shot that's so mass-produced that it costs like $1.25, and they give it to you for free at school because it's better for them that you fucking stay alive and be a long time.
How else are you going to distribute your microchips?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's literally like we made fun of this years ago because it was funny. But literally, like, the Alex Jones, they're turning the frogs gay fucking argument has been mainstream now, essentially, and it's in the form of anti-vax nonsense.
Yeah, I'm super glad. I'm really, really happy that we decided to have that fucking buffoon in this position at this time. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and look, I feel sorry for the people of Florida. I really do. I really do.
Yeah, especially the people that didn't vote for this shit.
Yeah,
especially those people, because their kids are also going to be in the line of fire. Like, vaccines are not foolproof. The reasons why vaccines are as effective as they are is because everyone fucking has them, and so it makes it much harder for, like, if the disease is present somewhere, for it to take hold and spread widely because everyone's fucking vaccinated. If only half the kids are vaccinated, it makes the vaccines much less effective.
Well, of course. And then that boosts their argument. See, they don't work.
Right.
Which is, it's like, cool. That's poor logic, but all right. Like,
and by the way, never mind the kids who can't get vaccines for medical reasons.
Fucked. They're fucked.
They're super fucked because, again, like, they were protected because they were the odd person out, but they were insulated by everyone around them being safe. And now they're just fucking screwed because Johnny's mom, who fucking eats granola every fucking day, is like, well, I don't want to put that poison in my child's body. I'd rather him get this eradicated disease and be exposed to that.
Yeah. Well, I want to, rather than my kid get polio, maybe he'll become president. Like, isn't that how it works?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm telling you, like if an iron lung company pops up in Florida, all of a sudden you better invest in that company. Toot sweet,
All right,
make a fair amount of money.
We talked about it on a premium episode, or like a premium part of the episode, like Apple's iron lung. Think about it; it's going to be beautiful.
The eye lung. That's right. We did we did talk about that. Yeah,
going to be great. Let's talk about the upcoming jobs report. I believe it comes out on September 5th. This is going to be fucking funny. Who's going to get fired when this one comes out?
No, Trump. I already know the answer to this question because Trump kind of spoke to this in that press conference.
This is from the last. Today. This is from the last lady.
Someone literally asked him like, hey, like when you release the jobs report tomorrow, like, it's going to be credible, right? Like, you're not going to release some insane bullshit. And he literally said, oh, the jobs reports basically won't be real until a year from now, is the way that he's fucking framing it. Because he knows that while economic turmoil is still going on, the jobs reports are going to look like fucking garbage because of his dumb tariffs. So he's trying to pre-bake in the narrative like, oh no, like actually the Biden economy fucked up the jobs market so badly that it's going to have a fucking 18-month tail on it before things start to settle down.
Get the fuck out of here. That's hilarious. So they're all fake until a year from now. Okay.
But if somehow like the October jobs report comes out and is like amazing, I'm sure he'll claim credit for that. Like, like it would have been fucking terrible if not for the things that I did.
Yeah.
I mean, don't worry. The October jobs report is not going to be good. But I'm just saying, like in a world where that happens, that's why.
That's hilarious. I hadn't heard that. We need 18 months. Oh, do you? How convenient. Get the fuck out of here. Like, we need just after the midterms, and then if we happen to hold Congress, we're never going to put out a jobs report again. Like, that's what I need you to do. Never going to happen. So, in this article from ABC News, job cuts soar in August, offering the latest evidence of a slowdown in the labor market as some economists warn of a possible recession, according to data released on Thursday by outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas. U.S. companies announced nearly 86,000 job cuts in August, which amounted to a 39% increase from the previous month. The figure indicated the largest number of job cuts in a month of August since 2020, which coincided with COVID-19 pandemic. Yada, yada, yada. The jobs cut figure comes a day before the release of a new government jobs report, which is expected to show 75,000 jobs were added in August. If the report meets expectations, it would mark a slight uptick from the 73,000 jobs added the previous month. By the way, that's real bad. Okay, in case you were like, oh, 75,000, that's pretty good. That's really, really bad. Normally jobs reports are like 140, 200 plus. Like, that's a good.
To put it in context, Trump's first 3 jobs reports, where the president truly is still coasting off of the previous administration's work because the policies that they implement do not have time to take root. They were averaging about almost 200,000 jobs per month for the first 3 months that Trump was in office, before it dipped down to about 35,000 jobs a month for 3 months ending in July. So if we're basing it off of that, like if we're basing it off of the 35,000 jobs per month, not decent recovery, I guess.
Yeah. Amazing. So the U.S. added an average of about 35,000 jobs over the last 3 months ending in July, like you said, which marked a major cool down from the roughly 196,000 added on average over the previous 3 months period by the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics data showed. The hiring cool down hit a wide swath of industries, including manufacturing and the federal government. The overall unemployment rate of 4.2% continued to hover near historically low levels, but unemployment rose among black workers, an occurrence that can sometimes foretell job losses among other groups. Yeah, that's unfortunately we get hit first, and then no one gives a fuck, and then white America goes, oh shit, it's us now? Yeah, it's you guys. Mm-hmm. You're next. So
yep.
Good luck with all that. So yeah, jobs report is going to be a piece of shit. It's going to be a fucking turd. And it'll be interesting to see. I understand their bullshit. It's going to take us a year, 18 months to get things together. But people are going to talk about this. And it's especially going to be talked about because you fired the head of the Board of Labor and Statistics last time you got a jobs report. So what are you going to do now when the numbers are half of what they were before? So, or not even half. But, just a slight tick up rather. And so that's not good. So if it was shit last time, then it's still shit. So
yeah, but again, like his whole thing is it's the same thing that he always does. If it's shitty, it's Obama/Biden's fault, and if it's great, that was all me.
Somehow that keeps working for some people. I think largely everyone with a brain knows that that's bullshit, but.
I don't know. Well, I mean, then you're basically saying all of corporate media has no brain then, because they're more than happy to to basically repeat the shit that he says verbatim, as we'll talk about in a story, in a couple stories here. So,
I mean, that is what I'm saying. That's not a real gotcha moment for me, Brad. You are correct. Your assessment. All right, next up. This
sucks.
This is offensive. Trump administration somehow makes a mockery of the mentally ill gun ownership issue, right? So there was a school shooting recently
in Minnesota.
In Minnesota, this brings up obviously the same sort of story that we talk about every couple of months now. Anyway, which is we should probably screen better for mental illness for gun ownership. The right always goes, yeah. No, that's obviously the issue. It's definitely not guns, because we can't talk about how many people have guns and easy access to guns. That's not the problem. It's obviously people with mental illness. Okay, let's deal with it. And then the right goes, we're just kidding. We're not going to really deal with that either. But now Trump is looking to ban transgender people from having a gun and declaring them, quote, mentally ill. So how's that going to work? One, that's offensive. How they identify is not a mental illness. I know right-wingers love to say, trans people are mentally ill. You guys jerk off to guns. That feels like a mental illness to me, but that's just me. They just want to be who they are, and it doesn't affect anybody. By the way, there are people who are legitimately mentally ill, and you think it's cool for those people to have guns. Because if you remember, the first thing that Donald Trump signed into law when he became president, the first time, was allowing people with mental illness to get guns. So
yes, to have easier access to firearms than they had previously.
So declaring these people mentally ill who are transgender, how are you going to differentiate between the shit that you've already approved and this? Specifically being transgender is dangerous, or they should have guns? I know there was it was a whole thing of like, well, this last shooter was trans, and they're like, oh, this is a big deal. See, there's a pattern. It's like 0.1% of all mass shooters are trans. 99%.
Yeah, normally it's just a white dude, typically.
Why don't you, do you want to label white dudes as mentally ill as a group? I mean, I support it. Sorry, Brad. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm willing to
middle-aged white men, so you can.
Yeah, I guess I'm willing to take one for the team if it helps out.
Yeah,
helps
all
out
right, fine. We're all, get the guns off.
Right.
But how are you going to thread that needle? How are you going to square that circle? Because it doesn't make any sense. And outside of that, this is just fucked up and it's just bigoted.
Also, I mean, putting that aside, which is the biggest thing, but. Aren't you the ones that tell us all the time that limiting people's access to guns won't curb shootings? But now you're saying, but we wouldn't limit it to these people because we're worried they're going to shoot people. Why wouldn't that apply to anybody else ever?
Well, they know. I mean, in fairness, everybody knows trans people are rule followers. They're rule followers. So you set a law.
Absolutely.
They're like,
yeah.
They're AJ squared away. They're like,
yeah, they certainly won't cross state lines where it's easier to find firearms. So
yeah, it's like, bro, this person was trans. Okay, again, how many white supremacists young white male supremacists did school shootings or church shootings or synagogue shootings, how many? It's a hell of a lot more than like 0.1%. I can guarantee you that. So
Yeah.
this is like just you're hunting for something to hurt transgender people. Like, this is not anything to protect kids. This is not to protect anybody. You are literally just hunting to make up an issue to hurt people. That's it.
That's their whole fucking ballgame, right? It's picking. It's like, when the bully comes onto the fucking school campus and finds like the weakest, most vulnerable kid to pick on so he can assert his authority. That's all this is. I mean, and again, like, if they somehow can really, they've already done a lot, but if they somehow can get to a point where they're like, oh, like, we have absolutely fucking, put the kibosh on trans folks and we have them, pretty much locked down. Don't think that they're going to stop there. Like I said, the rest of the LGBTQ community is next on the list, I'm sure. So,
which is, obviously fucking stupid, right? But they're bigots. That's what bigots do.
That is what bigots do.
I mean, the funny thing is, and as much as this is going to kind of annoys me because it's not really much of a victory, but it's going to feel like one. If we ever get a Democratic president, the amount of things that they're going to just get so much goodwill for just reversing right away. Like, if you get a Democratic president and a Congress, it's like there are just so many laws you could just be like, we're not doing that shit anymore. We're not doing this shit anymore. We're not doing it. You know what I mean? It's just like, yay, victory. Like, these are just things you're just reversing, right? They're
right.
Not true victories, but they obviously are to some degree. But because these things are so just egregious and just so stupid, and you're just going after people for no fucking reason. None at all. But if this pleases, Mima in the middle of fucking Alabama, some goddamn where they're like, that's what we want to do. How do we make people's lives worse? Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.